We all like to tell ourselves that the darkest, most twisted personality traits belong strictly to history's worst criminals, right? I mean, names like Ted Bundy, Charles Manson, Dennis Rader, they instantly conjure up these images of extreme, unthinkable violence, behavior that feels, well, completely removed from our normal, everyday lives. We look at these guys and think, okay, these are the exceptions, the anomalies, people existing on the absolute farthest outer edges of humanity. But psychology suggests something a whole lot more unsettling. What if history's darkest traits aren't just locked away in prison cells? What if these exact same underlying psychological patterns actually exist on a spectrum, meaning they show up in much less extreme ways among ordinary people, not as cinematic villains, but as your coworkers, your acquaintances, your bosses, or, yeah, even your family members?
So, let's dive into the dark triad, everyday monsters. In this explainer, I'm going to walk you through one of psychology's most fascinating and honestly most crucial concepts for navigating modern social dynamics. We're going to put on our behavioral psychology hats, look really closely at these specific traits, completely strip away all that Hollywood drama, and see how this stuff actually plays out in the real world around us.
But before we get too deep into the weeds, let's nail down what this term actually means clinically. The dark triad is a psychological framework focusing on three overlapping personality tendencies: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Now here's the really important part. This is not some tool for labeling people as good or evil. In clinical psychology, we literally have to throw that binary right out the window. Instead, this is a highly objective framework we use to understand very specific, observable personality tendencies and how they drive human behavior.
Okay, so here are the three pillars: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. On their own, these traits are actually pretty distinct from one another, but when you put them together, wow. They create this combined personality style that prioritizes personal gain, power, and self-interest above absolutely everything else. People who score high in these traits, they know the social rules. They get them perfectly well. The kicker is, they just think those rules should apply to everyone else except them. Let's actually break these down one by one.
Part 1. Narcissism in plain sight. You know, a lot of folks confuse narcissism with genuine confidence. But true confidence is stable. Narcissism, it hides a deeply fragile sense of self-worth that desperately needs constant validation. And like we said, it's a spectrum. On the extreme end, you've got someone like Ted Bundy. Think about the sheer malignant arrogance it takes to choose to act as your own lawyer in a high-stakes murder trial. That is extreme. But everyday narcissism, it's way more mundane. It's that coworker who literally needs all the attention in every single meeting or who totally melts down over the mildest bit of constructive criticism. Instead of seeing you as a complex person with your own needs, an everyday narcissist kinda just sees you as a mirror, a source of admiration, approval, or validation to prop themselves up.
Part 2. Everyday Machiavellianism.
So if narcissism is all about image, Machiavellianism is purely about cold, calculated strategy. People high in this trait, they think entirely in terms of outcomes, not relationships. On the extreme side, you have Charles Manson. It is chilling how he built cult dependency, basically moving vulnerable human lives around like pieces on a chessboard. But everyday Machiavellianism is much, much subtler. It's the friend who quietly takes credit for your hard work, or that person you know who carefully choreographs social situations purely to give themselves the upper hand. The scale is obviously vastly different, but make no mistake, the underlying mindset is exactly the same. Relationships aren't genuine connections, they're just tools to get what they want.
Part 3. Psychopathy without the violence.
Now, when you hear the word psychopath, I'm guessing your brain immediately jumps to violent criminals. But the real core of this trait isn't necessarily violence, it's an empathy void. Look at Dennis Rader, the BTK killer, an extreme, horrifying example of someone who discussed his crimes with this clinical, completely detached calmness, zero emotional connection to right and wrong. In everyday life, though, psychopathic traits just look like unusual fearlessness and emotional detachment under extreme pressure. And hey, that can actually be a huge asset if you're a trauma surgeon or a high-level CEO, right? But it turns highly toxic when that detachment means a complete and total absence of moral responsibility and empathy for the people they hurt along the way.
Part 4. The Mask of Success.
This is what makes the dark triad so incredibly tricky and honestly terrifying in everyday life. These traits disguise themselves as the exact qualities our society loves and deeply admires. Let's walk through it. Step 1. Narcissism masquerades as confidence. We applaud the guy dominating the boardroom, totally missing the fragile ego hiding underneath. Step 2. Machiavellianism wears the mask of strategic thinking. We praise the cutthroat manager, calling them a visionary, while completely ignoring the trail of manipulated people they stepped on to get there. And step 3, psychopathy looks like courage and composure. We revered the leader who never ever sweats under pressure, mistaking a dangerous lack of empathy for bravery. This is exactly why these patterns thrive so well in corporate offices and leadership roles. They wear the mask of success, and we actually reward them for it.
Part 5. Recognizing the hidden patterns.
Now, the goal here isn't to run around diagnosing everyone at your office. It's about protecting your own mental well-being by spotting consistent behavioral patterns over time. Think about the people in your life. Do they constantly demand admiration from you but offer absolutely zero support when you need it? Do they repeatedly manipulate situations just to benefit themselves? Do you notice a striking lack of empathy when someone else is suffering? And do they consistently, without fail, refuse to accept responsibility when things go wrong? Look, everybody has a bad day. That means very little. But consistent behavior over months and years, that tells a very clear, undeniable story.
Ultimately, understanding the dark triad is about awareness. It all comes down to this thought. It's not whether these traits exist in the people around us, it's whether we're paying enough attention to recognize them when they do. Keep your eyes open, folks. Learn to look past the masks. Because the next time you encounter someone who is undeniably successful yet utterly ruthless, ask yourself, what mask are they truly wearing?